If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that sub button for more amazing content. Now, let's jump straight into the video. What's good, everyone? It's your girl, Bofino, bringing you guys a podcast. So this will be one of my first podcasts that I will be making, depending on where you're listening to this on, whether it's YouTube or whether this is Anchor, could be on Spotify, could also be on Apple Podcasts, etc. I plan to upload at least twice a week, and on this podcast, we'll be talking about various topics, trending topics, not so trending topics, serious topics, not so trending topics, as well as towards the end of each podcast, I'd love to have a discussion where I answer some of you guys' questions. I want this to also be an interactive podcast. So without further ado, let's jump right into the show. So the first topic that I want to talk about is Kanye West running for president. This has been quite a conversation in the least, to say the least. Kanye West recently had his first presidential rally not too long ago where he talked about various topics such as abortion and Harriet Tubman not freeing the slaves, which to me, that was just crazy. Like, I think I understood where he was going with it. I think he was trying to say, or at least this is my perception, I think he was trying to say that Harriet Tubman freed the slaves by letting them, come up north, but then after they still ended up having to work for quote unquote the white man, or whatever you want to call it, for them to support their families, to have a roof over their head, etc. At least that's kind of how I took that discussion, what he was saying. But then he also had like a whole breakdown on stage. I mean, it was kind of cringy, to be honest. Like, it was kind of like, okay, you're trying to run to be a president and you can't even hold your own emotions while you're at your own presidential rally. So, and then after, he goes on this whole like Twitter rant. Him and Kim Kardashian kind of go back and forth, but she talks about him having a bipolar disorder, and then he basically says that he wants to divorce her after, and then shortly after he comes back and say that he apologizes to her for what he said. So it was just a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And if for those of you who don't know, Kanye West is a supporter of Donald Trump. So if you kind of think about it, it kind of makes sense why has done or doing some of the things that Donald Trump does, which is posting stuff online, tweeting about it, and then wanting to apologize shortly after, which is another thing I want to talk about. This is a lot of the issues with a lot of these celebrities, is they want to get online, post this stuff, and then they want to go back and say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, my bad, woe was me, all this stuff. And it's like, you have to remember that when you have that type of influence where you're that known, you're a celebrity, and you have that type of influence in the world to other to people watching you, everything you do and say is publicized. So, wherever tweet he made about Kim Kardashian, it went viral. I mean, it's on the front page. People are making YouTube videos about it. I was one of those people that made a YouTube video about it. But I'm just saying, like, it's a big deal when you have that type of influence. And I think sometimes, and I get it, they're humans just like the rest of us. But at the same time, that's kind of the price that you pay for being a celebrity. That's the price that you pay for having that title. And I think a lot of these celebrities, they don't realize that. I think a lot of them think that they're above the law, whatever you want to call it. And to me, it just kind of makes me feel like, okay, this guy's trying to run for president and he can't even hold his emotions. And at the same time, he has a hard time speaking in front of a group of people or a crowd of people where everyone can understand. That's a big thing that you need to have, being, I guess you say, charismatic, right? You need to be able to speak to a large audience of people without confusing people, offending people in a sense, and that it's easily understandable. Kanye West, a lot of times stuff he says, you kind of have to like dig through it. And to be honest with you, I don't have that kind of time to be sitting around here trying to play mind games or muscle mind games with him to try to understand what he's saying. No, you need to make sure that what you're saying is clear and concise and that other people can understand it, or else, I don't know, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, it's no shade to him, but this is not the first time that we've seen him act out or act crazy. I mean, it's been numerous times where he's acted out or said things that he shouldn't have said. And I get it, he's human, but then there comes a point where it's like, okay, you're 40 some years old, man, like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, it's time to let's grow up. So the fact that he kind of had this breakdown on his first presidential rally, it just makes me wonder for the future. To me, it's like he's like the black version of Donald Trump. Like, let's just be real, But hey, I don't know. That's a discussion, I guess, for later on. So let's move on to our next topic, which is COVID. This is a big topic that a lot of people have been discussing. COVID-19, I mean, it's literally flipped the world upside down. I mean, people are losing their jobs, hospitals are being flooded, cases are constantly rising, which is the first topic I want to talk about underneath, kind of like my little bulletins. COVID cases are rising like crazy, and that's due to people not taking it seriously. When it first came out, people were saying, oh, it's only old people that get this. It's only people ages I think it's like 55 and up or 60 and up, something like that, because of them being older and them having maybe weaker immune systems, having health related problems, etc., etc. But now it's a lot of young people. The age group is really ages 18 to 30 that hold the highest level of COVID cases. And that's because a lot of us, I'm 24, so I fall in that group, but I'm not, not like y'all, but a lot of people in that age group are not taking it seriously. They feel like, oh, it's not going to happen to me. Nothing's going to happen. So they're going out to these parties. They're traveling places. They're having these quote unquote COVID parties. I don't know if you guys saw about the party that happened. It was a few months ago in Chicago where it was over 1,000 something people that were in the party. That's crazy when you think about it, right? That's crazy that people, and the other part about it too was none of them had masks on. That's the thing. It's like, how stupid can you be? You know what I'm saying? How dumb can you be? That's the thing I don't understand about people, is you have the CDC, people that have really went to school, that are, I guess you could say, officially, they got their stamp of approval that, whatever they're saying for the most part is true. They have science to back it up. I do not understand these folks. Why is it that y'all believe that you can just, I guess you say, go around and you're above the law, or nothing is going to happen to you? COVID doesn't have race, it doesn't have an age, it doesn't have a gender, etc. It comes for whoever, whenever. So y'all need to start wearing your mask. And that's nothing too with the whole being Donald Trump, the president of the United States, not wearing a mask. He's also part of the reason why so many people in the South and just in general don't believe in wearing a mask, because he is not wearing a mask. So you have a lot of people that feel like, oh, if my president is not doing it, why should I? You know what I'm saying? So that's a big issue that's going on right now, is all of these people not wearing masks, not social distancing. They're still traveling around the world. And that's the other thing too. It's where are y'all traveling to? Y'all know that basically every state is almost in the same phase. Some states are even going back in phase. Some states were in phase 4, 3, whatever you want to call it, and they moving back because the cases are rising. And this is the other discussion I want to have about this, is so many people feel as if, I think they thought that once stuff started opening back up, that meant that the virus was gone. No. The whole point of them closing 9 essential places down, having only so many people can be at a time, the reason why they did that was because to stop the hospitals from being flooded, right? So for example, right, it was so bad where it was and it still is getting back to that point where the hospitals don't even have ICU beds. They don't have enough of ICU beds where, let's say for example, I break my leg. I go outside right now and fall and break my leg, right? I can't even go get seen by a doctor because there's too many people in there for COVID. And then what happens is they have all these floors that are COVID floors, and then floors that are people that don't have COVID, maybe they have other, health related issues, right? So what happens is if the floors that have people that have COVID in them gets overpacked, they end up starting to kind of mingle and jingle with the people that don't have it. So then now those people are at a risk of catching it. You know what I'm saying? So it's all a domino effect. The real reason was to stop the hospitals from flooding with patients too, because if you look at the data with it, right? COVID takes for most people at least 2 weeks, if not more, for their body to fight it off. So if you have more people coming in than are going out that are leaving, then it ends up becoming an issue of we don't have enough beds, we don't have enough doctors. I mean, a lot of doctors and nurses have literally died because of COVID, because they're front line and they're dealing with so many patients. A lot of them don't have proper PPE, which is protective equipment. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that's going on right now, and it's crazy that so many people don't think this is serious. It's crazy that so many people think that this is a joke. It's crazy that so many people don't see all the people losing their jobs because of this, and they still want to go out and travel. Honestly, and we're going to talk about that, I guess you said, a little bit later. But honestly, people really need to be trying to save their money and invest as much as they can, because you really just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with the economy 6 months from now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know how bad this disease is going to collapse the economy. Like, the airline industry is doing terrible. And I believe come September, they're not going to be able to afford all those people in the airline industry. So guess what that means? All those people are going to lose their jobs. So now you're going to have all those people out of a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, the economy is literally collapsing in front of our eyes. And I think people are oblivious to this, or they don't understand it. I don't know what it is, but it's like people, like, they're not woke. I guess you know, it's like people say wake up. Like, people are not woke. They're not woke to what's really going on. And I feel like if we don't watch ourselves, we're gonna end up in like an apocalypse situation where it gets to the point where the virus spreads so much that you won't be able to stop it. Like, quarantine will not help you. People keeping social distancing from each other will not help. It will just get to the point where we're in like a emergency state, kind of like in like I believe like Florida and Texas right now. They're like in a state of emergency because so many people are testing positive every day. I mean, it's like wildfire. Like New York, people were dying left and right, like crazy. I mean, they still are. But I'm saying, like, if we don't watch ourselves, that's where we will be at. And that kind of leads to my next point, or the next topic that I kind of want to get into, which is as the COVID rates like are rising, unemployment is also rising too. And so this has a lot to do with COVID right now, what's going on. A lot of people have been furloughed, and a lot of people have gotten fired. So, like, for example, due to COVID and due to, like, you only can have X amount of people in a store at a time, or X amount of people at a restaurant. So let's say, for example, right, a restaurant has, let's say it can hold max 100 people, but now they only can have 25%. So that's like 25 people, right? So now that means that all those waitresses that you used to have, bartenders, etc., you only need 25% of your staff. So what do you do with the other 75%? You furlough them or you fire them, because you can't afford to keep paying them when you're not able to get the same amount of business. Obviously, places I would say like, you know, like a McDonald's, or a place like Taco Bell, or, you know, Wendy's, those kind of places that are like fast food where people typically get their food to go and they don't sit down. I mean, they're probably hurting a little bit for the fact that some people that probably used to go into those places are no longer like going into them. But for the most part, I would say that many people are not hurting, if that makes sense. Like those places are not hurting. It's the more sit down restaurants, like your Red Lobster, your Chili's, like those type of places where people go actually sit down. Those places are hurting. Places like Dave and Buster's right now, those places have been closed since March. Like, I feel like we're about to hear about them getting ready to go out of business soon too, just because no one's able to go in there. So you got all those bartenders, people that serve drinks, people that serve food. You got the people that clean the bathrooms, that come and clean the game machines. Heck, you even got the person that works in the front. You know what I'm saying? The person that works in the front of the place that, like when you give them money to put on your card, now they're out of work. So you got all these people that are constantly going out of work. Metro line. So like a lot of people that take the metro, like the train. A lot of people not going to their downtown areas where they live. So it's like there's not really a need for them to take the train. So now you got conductors out of work. You got, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got all these different levels of people out of work, and it's bigger than you think. Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, like, people ain't going to the parties like that. People ain't going to the club like that. People ain't out as much as they were, right? So if you think about it, all those people now are either not working or out of a job. And it's crazy, right? Because it's like you have this level of, now what's going to end up happening is you're going to have the haves and the have-nots. There was always the upper class, the middle class, and, you know, the lower class, right? Well, now what's going to happen is it's going to be one or two. It's like either you have stuff or you don't. And what's going to happen is if stuff gets too bad, as normal people get sick, you know, people that, like, for example, like toilet paper was a big thing. People were buying toilet paper like left and right? Stuff like that. When that, like, the people that work in those factories that I guess they build the products and stuff for us to use, if more and more people get sick, that means that a lot of that stuff won't be able to be produced, right? Which means that they're going to end up having a shortage, more of a shortage than what we have right now. So it's like this big domino effect that I think that sometimes people don't realize, or maybe they don't think about, or I don't know, whatever the case is, right? And so it's like I said, it's this domino effect that's happening, and it's getting worse and worse and worse as the cases keep rising. Plus, they're already talking about a second wave in the fall. So right now it's warm out because it's summertime, but once the fall hits around like, was it September, October, something like that, then you're gonna have a second case. On top of, you're gonna have regular illnesses like just a regular schmegular cold or the flu, etc. So, it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit all these companies, places like UPS, FedEx, Amazon. Like, as the economy collapses, people are not gonna be able to buy stuff. So that, guess what that means? Some of them folks gonna get laid off, or like hiring. Like, those places were always places that people would go to during the Christmas time when they wanted to make extra money, because people would be ordering a whole bunch of stuff, mass ordering stuff online, right? Well, if people don't have money, people are not gonna be ordering that stuff. They're gonna be trying to buy the bare necessities like food, water, toiletries. Make sure they can pay their rent, their mortgage, have a roof over their head, etc. So, like I said, like, as the COVID cases rise, other things are going to collapse with it, and it's just going to get worser and worser and worser and worser if we do not start taking this seriously. And I'm not saying you as the listener not taking it seriously, but I'm saying you have a lot of people that are not taking it seriously, and they're the reason why we're in this predicament, in this situation as we speak. And the final topic that I want to talk about is the stock market. So the stock market, as we all know, has kind of been a little bit a roller coaster, just due to, what's going on in the world. When stuff happens in the economy, it affects the stock market. But actually right now, if you're someone that is, young, in your 20s, 30s, heck, maybe even your 40s, right? This is a good time to get invested into the stock market. Now, you might be thinking, why would I try to get invested into the stock market if it's going bad? Well, the reason why you would get invested into the stock market is something like a Roth IRA, which is like an account that you basically invest money into, you purchase stocks with it, and over time, it's a long-term thing for retirement. So we all know, obviously, Corona is not going to last forever, because eventually they're gonna find a vaccine for it that's going to help everybody and help us get through this. So right now, with stocks market doing poorly, it also means the prices on stocks are going down. So that means that you'll actually be able to buy stuff cheaper. You won't see the return on investment necessarily right now, but as the years and stuff go by, you're going to have a bigger return on investment, because when you bought your initial index fund, stocks, whatever you plan to purchase, it's going to skyrocket through the roof when the economy does end up making a full-fledged circle turnaround, is what I'm saying. Because the average return on investment for like a Roth IRA typically yearly is like 7 to 9%. But like, it goes back to what I was saying, if you end up purchasing stocks a lot cheaper because of the market being really crappy, well, your return on investment is going to be a lot higher due to that. And that's the point I'm saying. Like, right now, people need to be trying to figure out ways how they can save money, obviously. So if you were to lose your job, the goal is to have 6 months to a year of money in your savings account to save. That's your first priority. You need to have money that you can touch right away. If you're one of those people where you have extra money, you need to be really focusing on how can you make your money grow? What are ways that you can be doing? Because right now, people are not doing as much as they were months ago. I mean, think about it. Where are you really going right now? You may be going over a friend's house here and there, maybe grabbing food out to eat at the grocery store, but you're not going to the movies, you're not going to the bars, you're not going to Dave and Buster's, you're not going to all these different places where you would be consuming your money. It's not really a lot of options right now. So really, people should be trying to figure out what are ways that during this quarantine they can either try to make some extra money, learn, educate themselves, because you're never going to have this type of free time ever again. And that's the point that I keep trying to tell people, like, you're never going to have this type of free time ever again. So what you should be trying to do is figure out ways to make your income lucrative. That's what you should be trying to figure out right now before the economy literally crumbles. Because I believe 6 months from now, you're going to have more people out of work, and it's going to get worser and worser. So yeah, guys, that is the end of my first podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do have some topics for a second podcast. I do plan on having a Q&A section, hopefully in the second one, if not the third one, at the end of it, where I answer some of you guys' questions. Feel free to, if you have Twitter, my Twitter is Bofina1, Bofina1. Send me a DM or at me a question that maybe you would like for me to have on my second podcast. If you are on my YouTube channel is the same thing, Bofina1, Bofina1. And this podcast will be uploaded on my podcast channel, which is Bofina1 Podcast. Also, I have a main channel, Bofina1, where I upload commentary videos. I used to do reactions, don't do them as much, but like commentary videos, news videos, gaming news, etc., all that fun stuff. So feel free to stop by, check it out. If you enjoy this, give it a thumbs up, etc., depending on what platform you're on. And yeah, so hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Peace.